Hey, good evening. And we're here to do your Bible lesson for the week of September 27th. You got Steve.
What's up?
And you got me. So let's get into our lesson.
What do you got there?
I got a little raccoon tail on me.
Nice.
That's right. It's plugged into that camera so you can hear.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
So maybe you can hear us a little bit better and we won't echo all the time. Is it moving?
No, it's not moving. It's
Okay. Oh, I tried to get away there for a minute. So you know how we start. We start with our unit verse. It comes from Deuteronomy 30:20. Love the Lord your God, obey Him, and remain faithful to Him. That's Deuteronomy 30:20.
Uh-oh. They're not the same this week.
They are not the same, so everybody's got to choose which weekly verse we do.
Let's use this one.
Yeah, it's Joshua 1:9. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Haven't I commanded you, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1, verse 9. So tonight we're going to be talking about Daniel in the lion's den.
Ooh, he went to the zoo?
He did. He went to the zoo. But when he got to the zoo, he was over the wall and he was in the lion's den, down there where they live.
Well, that's not good.
Not looking through the glass at him. He was down there. Yeah.
Come here, come here.
He was down there with them. So the Bible learning from this story we're going to learn is God is all powerful and in control of all things. Wow, powerful and in control of all things.
I think this is going to be an awesome story.
I think so too. So we're going to let Steve read our story so we can get into it.
All right, Daniel in the lion's den. King Darius chose 120 princes throughout his kingdom. He also chose 3 presidents to watch over the princes. He chose Daniel as one of his presidents. Daniel was a trustworthy and honest, and the king planned to put him in charge of the whole kingdom. The other leaders were jealous. They watched for Daniel to do something wrong so that they could complain to the king about him. Soon they realized that they would never find anything against Daniel unless it had something to do with his God, Big G. The leaders went to the king and said, "You should make a law that says for 30 days no one can pray to any god, little g, or man except you. If someone breaks the law, he should be thrown into the lion's den." King Darius agreed and made the law. When Daniel heard about the law, he went to his house, opened his window that faced Jerusalem, and got down on his knees. Then he prayed to God 3 times each day, just as he had always done. The leaders searched for Daniel and found him praying to God. They hurried to the king and said, "Daniel has ignored the king. He prays 3 times each day to his God, Big G." The leaders insisted that the king throw Daniel into the lion's den. The king was upset, but the law could not be changed. As Daniel was thrown into the den, King Darius said, "May the God you serve rescue you." That's the Big G God. A large stone was placed over the opening, and the king sealed the stone with his ring. The king could not sleep at all. The next morning, he hurried to the lion's den and called to Daniel. Daniel was alive and safe. He said, "God sent an angel and shut the lion's mouth. They haven't hurt me." King Darius was overjoyed and gave the orders to take Daniel out of the lion's den. The king wrote a new law that people in his kingdom should worship Daniel's God because he was a living God, and he rescued Daniel from the lions.
So children, they like superheroes. And I wonder why everybody likes superheroes. You know, I watch Thor, I watch Batman, I watch Spider-Man.
So you got to watch the kapow and the pow.
Yeah, that's right. Back in the old days, awesome. If you don't, I know they were good.
And if you got a Roku, you can watch the old Batmans.
Oh, can I?
Yeah. Season 1 through season 324.
I'm gonna have to find them. I'm gonna have to watch them. So why do we like superheroes? Maybe because they can do what people cannot, such as fly. Superman flies, Batman flies. Make rude people nicer. They fix broken things. But you know, what is power? How does it work? God's power is unique because of a goodness and because it lasts.
Power.
Power, lights and all that. Yeah, you flip a switch right over there and it
The
comes
camera
right.
we're using.
It's got power and all that. So, you know, what is it? How does it work? God has a unique power. It never goes away.
That is awesome.
It is. So you remember when the wind blows, it's thundering and it's lightning, and the tree limb falls on your power and your lights go out? God's power, it don't go out. Tree limb falls, it don't go out.
The wind blows, messes up my hair.
God, it doesn't mess up.
It don't mess
It
up.
doesn't. He stays right there. God provides power to do right no matter what. You know, Daniel lived far from home. He made the right choices all the time. The right choices every single time. You know, this made some leaders very, very upset. It made them jealous. How could Daniel be so good? How can Daniel make the right choices? How can Daniel do this? How can Daniel do that? So they come up with a plan. They went to this king, King Darius, and said, hey, King Darius, we're making this plan up. We want you to write it down as a law that nobody can pray other than you. Well, that made him an idol. That made him God with a little g. Everybody was going to pray to him. But what does Daniel do? Daniel trucks on with his life. He continues to do the right thing. He goes home and he prays to God with the big G 3 times a day, no matter what. Nothing is going to stop him. He opens his window and he looks at Jerusalem and he prays to him. Well, you know, these people that are upset, people are jealous, people are mad, they watch him. And then they go back to King Darius and tattletale on him. Have you ever tattletaled on anybody?
Tattletale.
Yeah, it's no fun getting tattletale on because you finna get in trouble because you did something wrong. Well, they did. They told him, hey, he's praying to his God with the big G and not you. So we need to do something. So King Darius said, throw him in the lion's den. Wow. When you go to the zoo, have you ever seen a lion? Lions, tigers, bears.
Oh my!
That's right. Them lions, they got some big old heads and they got some big teeth that's about that long.
That's some big old claws.
Claws,
too.
yeah. And they make this big roaring noise. So have
What's
you...
that sound like?
Roaring noise.
Roaring.
Yeah, roaring noise. They're great. No, wait a minute. That's a tiger.
wrong.
That's a tiger. Wrong episode. So
That'll be next week, kids.
maybe so. Have you ever eaten a grape hoe, put it in between your teeth and just squish it down? Well, that's what a lion would do to Daniel's head. Just put it in there and squish it down, and then we wouldn't have Daniel anymore. So before King Darius threw him in there, he said, I hope you pray to your God, and I hope he helps you. Wow. You know, Daniel needed to come to God. Even though he's been making the right decisions all his life, he really needed God at this time. And what did God do? He closed the lion's mouth so they couldn't open it, so they couldn't eat it. But
Must have had his wisdom teeth moving. He was just the whole time.
maybe, yeah, you know. But King Darius, he knew he did wrong. He was so upset he couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep all night long. He was so worried. He knew he had did something wrong. So Brighton, yes.
So I was reading in the Tony Evans Bible, which is over there. It said that King Darius was actually, he was praying in his bed. That's why he was up. He was possibly up praying. That's why he was fasting and he couldn't sleep because he knew Daniel prayed to the big G God.
Big G God. So, yeah, he knew he had messed up when he did this. You know, he knew Daniel would probably be okay because he did right. He believed in God. He prayed to God. But he was so worried he didn't sleep. So bright and early, I'd probably say before the sun come up, you know, they take candles out there. He went down and they had this big rock, and King Darius put his ring on there so nobody would move this big rock. He yelled out, Daniel, are you okay? Daniel answered back and said,
I'm good.
I'm fine. You know, my God with the big G, my God has saved my life, has closed the lion's mouth so they couldn't eat me. What do you think King Darius did at that point in time when he heard Daniel speak? I think I'd have hit my knees right then. And I think King Darius did, because he immediately said, get Daniel out of the lion's den, and we're not going to worship me, but we're going to worship God in heaven. And he is the righteous. He is the one, the only. His power will never fail us, and we're going to worship him. Wow, what an amazing, amazing testimony that Daniel had. Now, I'm not for sure if I would want to go through that testimony and try the lion's den, but Daniel did. All right, so we went through the story. We reviewed the story. My, what a story it was. You know, big lions didn't eat Daniel. So, you know what time it is. That's right, game time.
Game time.
Game time. Woo! Spin the big wheel. Whom did the king plan to put in charge of his whole kingdom? Who did King Darius plan to put in charge of his whole kingdom?
So I think he kept looking and couldn't find. So I'm going to go with Waldo.
Waldo. He looked and couldn't find him. I still can't find Waldo. No, it wasn't Waldo. It was Daniel. King Darius wanted to put Daniel in charge of his kingdom. Why? Because Daniel made the right choices. You know, constantly, over and over, Daniel was making the right choices. What did the jealous leaders ask King Darius to do?
He said, hey boys, why don't y'all run over to Chick-fil-A and get us all some number ones and come on back and we'll talk about it.
That's the original chicken sandwich and french fries and your choice of drink. That's the number one. No. That would have been good to go get the Jesus chicken and all that and have it. But no, these jealous men went to King Darius and said, make it a law that nobody worship except for you. They have to worship you, King Darius. You will be the God in our reign. If they worship anybody else, then they must die. Wow, they asked him to make himself an idol. With God with a little g. And that was supposed to last for 30 days. Did Daniel change what he did because of the new law? Did Daniel change his old ways? Did he start veering off to the left, making wrong decisions? Did he tell God, I'm sorry, but I got to follow these people behind me? You know? The answer is no. Daniel didn't. He wasn't worried. You know, he kept on trucking with his life.
Kept on praying 3 times a day to the big G God.
Big G God. He even raised his window and looked out to Jerusalem so everybody could see what he was doing. What did the king tell Daniel as he was thrown into the lion's den?
No Chick-fil-A for you.
No Chick-fil-A. Maybe they went to Burger King. Daniel got Burger King. No, King Darius told Daniel, said, may your God help you. You know, pray to your God. Maybe he can spare your life. May your God help you. Why was Daniel not harmed in the lion's den? Why was Daniel not harmed in the lion's den?
Because God sent an angel and shut the mouth of the lions.
He sent an angel from heaven and shut the mouth of the lions. So they couldn't eat Daniel. They couldn't, they wasn't hungry anymore. They just laid down and kept their mouth closed.
No Chick-fil-A for the lions either.
No Chick-fil-A them either. What new law did the king make after Daniel was rescued? What new law did the king make after Daniel was rescued from the lion's den? I kind of want to say that King Darius dropped to his knees and made this new law. He said that we were going to pray to the big God with a big G in heaven, because he's the ultimate. He's the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. His power is great. It would never fail us. We ain't worshiping nothing else but him. That was the new law that he put in effect at that point in time when they pulled Daniel from the lion's den. And that was pretty harsh there. So I wonder what happened to all the leaders that were jealous of Daniel. The ones that kind of went behind his back and told King Darius that he was praying to the other god and all that. Kind of wonder what happened to them. It doesn't tell us in the story, but I think they got over their jealousy pretty quick.
Oh yeah, real quick.
You know, I don't think they were angry anymore, because I probably still wouldn't be talking. My mouth probably still be on the floor when somebody was pulled out of the lion's den that wasn't eating. So,
You don't see that at Birmingham Zoo.
no, you don't see that at the zoo every day. So, but that's the story on Daniel in the lion's den. It comes from Daniel chapter 6. So remember your unit verse and your weekly verse. And I'm probably going to say the weekly verse changes next week.
I'm probably going to go with that too.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be Deuteronomy 30, 19, and 20.
No, it'll change. So,
We'll have to wait till next week to find out though.
till next week it is. I say bye.
Bye.